everybody. Welcome back to Kavanaugh's Corner. As always, I'm Andrew Kavanaugh. I just want to say thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Today is going to be an interesting day. So today, as you can see, we are doing a chat here, video chat, with Esley here. So Esley, go ahead and introduce yourself and your channel.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing? My name is Esley from Entertainment Fanatic Reviews, and I specialize in movie reviews and anything to do with everything entertainment.
All right. Well, Esley, thank you so much for coming up with this and being open to chatting today and everything. Me and Esley have done some videos before. I'm going to link them at the end of the video here so you can check them out. Definitely go subscribe to his channel. He does same very similar kind of content to me. Does a lot of movie reviews. He's big into physical media like I am. So it's really great to have somebody out there to talk to about these things. But today is going to be an interesting one because today we are going to be talking about our wish list. We're going to be doing like a top 5 of movies that we'd really love to see come out in 4K this year. Now, there's already been a bunch of different releases that have been announced. There seems to be more and more every day. But these are ones that we just would really like to see for one reason or another. So we're going to be going through our top 5. And if it's okay, Esley, can I start with mine? Can we start with this one first? We'll start it off. I'll do one, you do one.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
All right, all right. So this one here, I picked this one because this is a movie that I've always really loved. And the director of this came out with a movie this past year. It actually didn't do very well, but it's a really good movie. This is a movie called Thief. Now I have it here. This is the Criterion version of it. My green screen in the back is eating the thing here, but yeah, so this is a movie with James Caan. Michael Mann directed this. He also was the executive producer. Jerry Bruckheimer was actually one of the other producers on this, one of his earliest productions. But this is such an amazing film. Criterion put this out on Blu-ray quite a while ago, and it's an amazing transfer. Don't get me wrong, but this movie could really benefit from a 4K release. If this had like HDR, Dolby Vision, whatever they do with it, there's a lot of dark, rainy kind of Chicago cityscapes in this, and I've always loved the look of this movie. It's just it's such a hard hitting kind of like crime drama, and James Caan gives the performance of his career in this. And I just would love it if Criterion re-released this on a 4K. They're doing those more and more now. But to see this in 4K would be a real humdinger. I've always loved this movie. So that's just a personal choice of mine. Right? Just like I like it.
I've actually never heard of that one, so you have me sold on it.
Yeah, it's great. It is one of the greats. It's actually, in my opinion, it's one of Michael Mann's best films, and he's really made some amazing films over the years. So definitely check it out if you haven't seen it yet.
I'm pretty sure if Criterion already has the Blu-ray out, I'm sure they're going to come out with a 4K sometime within a year or two, hopefully. Yeah, because they seem to do that. Because I have a few Criterions as well where they started out as Blu-rays, and a year or two later they came out to 4K. So
Oh yeah, yeah, oh
yeah.
yeah. They've been doing that more and more. So that's why I'm hoping that one's kind of a realistic expectation, but who
Yeah.
knows? So what have you got?
Uh, this one is a John Hughes classic, which I'm surprised it hasn't came to 4K, but it's probably cliche to bring up, but I don't care. Breakfast Club. It's one of my favorite
Yeah,
movies from the 80s. It's hard to believe that doesn't have a 4K. I like it more than Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and we have a 4K of that. I have the steelbook somewhere in my collection. So,
nice,
you know,
nice.
everyone loves John Hughes classics from the 80s, and this is one that, like I said, it's hard to believe, but it was shot on film. So, of course, we know that the upgrade's going to look great from Blu-ray to 4K. Most films shot on film look great for the most part. So, either way, I'm excited. Hopefully it does come out to 4K, which this one I do see coming out because we did get a few John Hughes classics. I believe Weird Science just came out, and I got the Arrow video for that. So
Nice,
either,
nice.
yeah, great release by the way if you haven't got it already. But
Oh no, I don't have that one. That's on my
no,
list. I love John Hughes, and it's
yeah,
actually kind of funny that we both picked movies that are very Chicago based
oh
as
yeah,
these back to back. I think that's really funny that we did that. So ironically enough, I'm gonna do a little shameless self promotion. I'm actually gonna be in Chicago this weekend. I'm going
Oh
to
wow.
Chicago this weekend with my girlfriend, and we're gonna go to some filming location. So the week after this video goes up, I'll have like a filming location video in Chicago with places from The Breakfast Club, Home Alone.
Oh
We're gonna go to the
geez.
Art Institute like they do in Ferris Bueller, so it's gonna be really neat. I'm really excited for that. But anyway, I just had to mention that because
Oh
we
wow.
both did the Chicago thing. Just kind of serendipitous. We didn't talk to each other about what movies we were
No.
gonna do before this. So anything that happens, this is completely coincidental. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. So good choice there. I can totally
Yeah.
see that one coming out in 4K. That's another one
Mhm.
that had a Criterion release. That for some reason a lot of people didn't realize that came out on Criterion. It was a weird thing, but the transfer on the Criterion Blu-ray is really really good. So that's one to look for. So the next one that I picked here, this is number 4 on my list. This is a movie that this year, and it's really weird that I did this, but this movie and the next 2 movies on my list all have an anniversary of some sort this year. And so this one, it came to mind because in a few months we're getting Seven in
Mhm.
4K, which I was very surprised about, and it's getting a hell of a box set. If you haven't seen that,
No.
that looks really really impressive. It's very pricey, but what you get in it is 2 different box sets. There's one that almost looks like a file folder, like a cabinet kind of thing, and then
Mhm.
there's another one that's a box,
I didn't even know
just
it was
like you
coming to
think.
4K in general, so I'm
Yeah, yeah,
excited
it's
for
coming
that.
out. It's coming out in just a few months, so that's one that
Wow.
looks really good. But the one that I really want in 4K is Fight Club. I
Oh
really
yeah.
want Fight Club in 4K. This is one that, again, this has kind of been languishing on Blu-ray for a long time. This is the 10th anniversary edition. So this thing is old because this year it's the 25th anniversary edition
Oh
of
Lord.
the film. So 25 years this year. And the Blu-ray of this is not bad,
Mhm.
but it definitely needs an upgrade. Like this is one that really needs one. The weird thing about this release, and it's kind of a thing that's going on right now, is that this was a 20th Century Fox movie.
Oh.
And with the Disney thing, supposedly there was a an article I read not long ago. I can't remember where it was. It might have been on one of the HD Net forums or something, but supposedly that Disney has been sitting on new 4K transfers of a lot of big movies that they just have not released. Now that Sony has taken over their
Mhm.
distribution and disc creation, I think we're going to see a lot more releases, or at least I'm really hoping so, because that's just money just sitting there. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, 20th Century Fox spent the money on remastering these movies, and they have never seen the light of day. And I mean digitally, physically, like nothing. These transfers are just out there. So I'm really hoping this one gets one, because this is just an amazing looking film, as is pretty much every David Fincher movie is. But this one in particular has always been a big favorite of mine. So I could really see this one getting like a Dolby Atmos and HDR with new special features and stuff.
Well, don't get mad, but I've actually never seen Seven or Fight Club. I have both. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you gotta watch those, man. They're so
Mhm.
good. They're so good. Once you see Seven, you'll get the box reference. So you'll get
Oh, I,
what's in
I've
the
been
box.
spoiled.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah,
spoiled, so I already know.
yeah. You
But
already know. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, what do
you
you
was
got
bringing.
for yours?
Well, you brought up Fox titles. I know this is off topic, but it's not on my list. But I wish we got Home Alone 2, because I
Oh
love the
yeah.
first. But
Oh, I
that's not
love
my
that. I
pick.
love both of those movies. Yeah, that
Oh
would be
yes,
so great. That would be so great if we did. Oh, that would be awesome, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my actual pick, it's a weird title, but it is on Blu-ray and it's actually a 2K upscale, but either way I'd like to see like HDR and Dolby Vision go with it, but I'm
Hmm.
talking about Swiss Army Man. I know that's a weird title to think of,
Okay.
but I have a weird like movie theater experience with that because you know how like A24 has recently been blowing up a little bit. recently with like X and Pearl and a lot of other films. But I saw this in the movie theater, and it was just me and one other person. And then when the movie was done, we both looked at each other and was like, "That was weird." Like we don't even know each other. It was just the fact that was my first A24 film, so like I have a soft spot for it, and it's the same directors with Everything Everywhere All at Once. So
Yeah.
I prefer Swiss Army Man, but I do want to give both films another shot to actually see what my thoughts are. I just think it would benefit with how vibrant that film is. That the
Yeah.
HDR Dolby Vision would just go perfect with that film.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a very vivid type of
mm-hmm,
cinematography in that. It's very beautiful. It's a
mm-hmm,
gorgeous looking movie. But yeah, no, they're awesome directors. And yeah, that is a really odd movie. I did see that
mm-hmm.
a while back. I think I saw it at home actually, but I can't remember where I saw it. I did stream it. It was on one of the streaming services, but I was just like, what is this weird
Yeah.
movie? And I watched it and I was like, man, that is one of the strangest films I have ever seen, but it was very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Dano and Radcliffe there, they were so good in that. I love that. It was a
Mm-hmm.
very interesting experience. But yeah, yeah,
Yes.
my first A24 movie, I think, was Hereditary. I think
Oh
that
wow.
was that A24. I think it was,
I
right. I
believe
think they did
so.
that. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
my first one, and uh, there hasn't been too many horror movies that I've seen in the theater where everybody was collectively like walking out like in a train, like not
Oh yeah.
knowing like what the hell just happened in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the
It
same
was
experience
great.
for me.
Yeah, it was really something. So next one on my list here is another movie that has a 40th anniversary this year. So this one is 40 years old this year. And this is one that to me boggles the mind why this isn't already on 4K. And I think it has to do with rights issues because this series in particular has had so many, it switched owners more than I switch underwear. Okay. I mean, it is really bad. And it's the Terminator. It's just the original Terminator. I mean, just like, why the hell isn't this
Yeah.
on 4K? I mean, this is one of these movies that just, I mean, it is a landmark film in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways. And one of my favorite action films, science fiction films ever. Obviously, I mean, it really doesn't need much of an introduction, but
Nope.
this one here, I mean, this is literally the last time it was on Blu-ray is this release. And again, 20th Century Fox had
Of
the
course.
rights to it when this disc came out. Now, the Terminator went from it was like a third party distribution, I think, when it first came out on DVD. Then it went to MGM. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had the MGM Blu-ray at one point. I think I might have traded it in or sold it. And then this one came out with 20th Century Fox. But now, I mean, it went from there to Warner Brothers to what was the Paramount is the most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think yeah, Paramount is now the one, but now I guess they've sold it to
Oh
somebody
Lord.
else. So I don't know who the hell owns this movie. I don't think James Cameron knows who owns this movie anymore, but I think we should get on that. I think this
Mm-hmm.
is something like, I mean, we're getting The Abyss, we're getting True
Mm-hmm.
Lies,
Yep.
we're getting what's the other one? Aliens. I mean, we're
Aliens.
getting
Yeah.
three huge movies in just what is like a week or two from now? Is it
Yeah.
next week?
Yeah.
So I cannot wait for those. For a lot of reasons. They're three absolutely phenomenal films. The Abyss being my favorite out of the three. That movie is just it's its own little masterpiece that just was put out at the wrong time and really forgotten for a long time. But it's an amazing movie. But I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer. Like
Of course.
yeah. The one wish that I have for this one is if they do put it out in 4K, obviously picture and stuff, remastering was going to be a necessity, but bring back the original audio for this movie because the surround on the disc here This disc only has a 5.1, and it's a DTS HD, but they changed the sound effects for the Blu-rays. I think even the MGM one, I think has replaced sound effects if I'm remembering correctly. But they changed the sound effects of all the gunfire and stuff like that. And like for instance, like when Arnold has his big like 45 with the laser on it,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like a silenced pistol when he shoots it, and it drives me completely nuts. Whereas the original sounds like this big, huge bang, bang. It has this really powerful sound. They changed it to like a pew, 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 pew to this, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work at all. It doesn't. It
I
just
didn't
so
even
that's
know
my
that.
one big request. Yeah, it stinks. Yeah, the audio. Everything else about the audio sounds great. The music, the dialogue, everything else is awesome. Even
Wow.
like the driving sound effects are like original, but for
Mm-hmm.
some reason they replaced like everything else, and it was it's just it doesn't work for me at all. I mean, some people may not mind it, but for me, it drove me nuts. So
Do you think that was like an MGM thing, or do you think James Cameron like told them to do that? I'm not entirely
I have
sure.
no idea. I
Wow.
have no clue who is responsible for that. I mean, Jim Cameron usually has really heavy control
Mm-hmm.
over his releases, so it wouldn't surprise me if he had something to do with that, but it was just a
Wow.
dumb decision in my mind. But that's just me. I don't know. But what do you got on yours?
My number three is actually a Tim Burton classic, which honestly I'm really surprised hasn't come to 4K yet either, because we do have Beetlejuice and a couple of others. But I'm talking Edward Scissorhands. That's probably my favorite or my second favorite Tim Burton film of all time. So, which
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it in like 5 or 10 years, but either way, I remember loving this movie to death when I first watched it, and I related to it heavily. And it's one that once again was shot on film, and I think it would look great in the format, and how the neighborhood looks with the
Yeah.
greens and all those houses probably look really great if it came to HDR or Dolby Vision, because I think it would really pop because it would be so vivid. But yeah, that's another one I'm surprised hasn't come yet. But maybe with Beetlejuice 2 coming out, maybe we'll get some more Tim Burton films on 4K. I'm not entirely
I
sure.
hope. I really
Mm-hmm.
hope. Yeah, that's another one that's a 20th Century Fox one.
Oh yeah.
And again, like it's probably in a vault somewhere,
Oh yeah.
languishing, but that's a really good pick. I've always enjoyed that movie. Tim
Mm-hmm.
Burton, again, also one of my favorite filmmakers. I mean, Batman, the original Batman, Michael
Classic.
Keaton's my favorite. That's my favorite superhero movie of all time. It just has a very special place in my heart because it was kind of like what got me into just movies in general. It's one of the
Yeah.
first like real like films that I saw when I was a kid, and yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, that's a shame. But
Oh yeah.
also, I mean, the other thing about like Tim Burton's movies is like they're dark, like
Oh yes.
literally and figuratively. I mean, they are dark looking movies. And the HDR with black level helping and stuff like that. I mean, the Batman movies on 4K look incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Beetlejuice looks amazing
Mm-hmm.
in 4K. So that's one that I could definitely see. That's a really good pick. Now, number two for me here, we're going from five to we're almost there, but number two for me,
Almost.
this is a big one. This is a big one. I got to get this thing off here. Oh God, it's a huge set. Oh, you
Oh
may have just
Lord.
saw a sneak peek of it, but this one here is 85 years old this year. Now, this is
Oh wow.
kind of a controversial movie these days because of obviously portrayals of particular racial things that happened during the time period. All of that put aside, this is it's a huge movie in a lot of ways, and that's Gone with the Wind. That is this is the huge box set that Warner Brothers put out. This was like the limited edition box set they put out many years ago for the
Wow.
70th anniversary. So this is 15 years old as well. And just one of those movies that is just it's epic in every way. I mean, the sets, the scale of the whole movie is just so massive. The performances in it are incredible across the board, and it's just one of these movies that it's a technicolor marvel. It's a literal technicolor marvel. Like, where is the 4K for this? why isn't this, out there? It's a weird thing. Like, it's a historically important film. And of course, obviously there are things about the movie that did not age well. I mean, the portrayal of African Americans in this film, it's very much of its time, and the source material is obviously also very much of its time. We're talking about a
Hmm.
novel that came out 100 years ago almost. So but it's one of these movies where it won every Academy Award known to man when it came out.
Yeah,
So it's a movie that's like, again, there's no excuse for it not to be on 4K. Even though, like I said, there are things about it that didn't age well. It's still just a massively important film to cinema in general.
that's true. But don't hate me, but I've also never seen it. Not because of the controversy, but I've
Yeah.
never had a physical copy. Uh, I think my aunt has the VHS, but I don't have a VCR anymore. But if it doesn't come out to 4K within 6 months to a year, I'm definitely going to get buy the Blu-ray and give it a watch.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
uh,
amazing.
yeah, my number two is also another classic. It is a black and white horror film, but I love horror films. It's my favorite category or genre of film. And it's a Vincent Price classic, and that's House on Haunted Hill. I remember I saw this for the first time 7, 8 years ago, and I absolutely fell in love with the movie. But once again, as I always say, it was shot on film, and of course, it's going to look great, mainly because of releases like Casablanca, the Maltese Falcon. Those look
Yeah.
fantastic. You look at those Blu-rays, and then you see the upgrade to 4K. It's a big difference, and I
Yeah, it's
think
like night and
it would.
day.
Oh yeah, it would be the same for this film as well. It might be really cheesy, but it's another film that I guess I can see why it hasn't came to 4K because not too many people know about it. You have to be in a specific niche to really appreciate it, but it's one that I hope comes to 4K within 2 or 3 years. If not, I'm not going to complain about it, but it's just something. It's a want, not a need, but
Yeah.
it is. It is.
But that's a great movie though. I mean,
Hmm.
that's one of those movies where if you think of horror films during that time period, that's one of
Hmm.
the all-time greats. Like, that
Hmm.
is it's a really good movie. And yeah, I could see how, it would be seen as cheesy and stuff like that today, but like, I mean, we're getting all the Universal monster
Hmm.
films,
Yeah,
and those supposedly, I haven't gotten them yet, but those
I haven't
supposedly look
either.
absolutely incredible in 4K.
Well, I
So
just
I mean, if
recently picked up It Came from Outer Space. That's also another really great release.
oh
There's
wow,
from
really?
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Well, that's the kind of thing. That's what I'm saying. Like you said, the black and white movies,
Mhm.
it's like a whole new experience watching
Mhm.
it in 4K. And I was talking to somebody about that recently, and they asked me, "Oh, this is a friend of mine. What's the why bother upgrading a black and white movie?" And it's like, oh, listen, you don't know until you see it,
Yeah.
because it's like you may think it's just black and white, but
Mhm.
there's so much more to it. There's all
Mhm.
these different shades. There's shades of gray, different brightness levels of whites. There's the different
Yes.
black levels, shadow detail. There's so much more going on than you'd ever think in a million years. So very good choice there. Very good choice there. So the last one on my list, this is one that again doesn't have an anniversary. We're past the anniversaries now.
Mhm.
But Super Bowl Sunday this year, a trailer for what looks like a reboot or a prequel. I don't know what the hell it is. No, I can't seem to find an explanation of it. I'm guessing it's a reboot sequel kind of thing. But anyway, my number one is Twister. I mean, we got to just get
Oh
Twister
yeah.
in 4K. Can we just put this out in 4K? I mean, like, this is one that, like, it shouldn't be this difficult, Warner Brothers. Like, let's go. Like, put it out in 4K. Again, not a movie of intrinsic value at all, but it's number one on my list because in terms of physical media, Twister is kind of significant. It was the first movie put on DVD.
Oh wow.
And I remember buying that DVD with my first DVD player. I remember
Jeez.
getting it. I remember getting it with that. And kind of being just blown away by how amazing this movie looked. And of course, I had it on VHS, and that
Hmm.
was really cool to have it on VHS. But then having a surround sound system and watching that on DVD was just like, it was a mind blowing experience. I'll never forget it. Excuse me. But having, now we have, we've gone through Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray of that film, of this movie, is great. But it's another one of these movies that's been sitting there for a while. This is the German release of it, the Turbine release that I've reviewed on my channel. I've mentioned it a few times. But this is one of the best Blu-rays I have in my collection, like standard Blu-rays. And mainly because it's really kind of hard to tell, but they did like juice up the picture, like very, very little with it. But the big thing is this has got Dolby Atmos on this release. And the fact that they were able to get a Dolby Atmos track on this Blu-ray that's not available in the United States, but not a 4K of it, it's kind of ridiculous to me. Like, why is this not on 4K? Of all the movies on my list, this is one that I could totally see coming out this year in anticipation of
Yeah.
Twisters. Now, I think that's the name of Twisters. But it's just, this is another one of these no-brainers where, this movie with, HDR, the Dolby Atmos track that already exists on this thing, it's just, I just can't see a more entertaining 4K to show off your home theater with than that movie. That's just a big one for me.
Well, when's the new movie coming out? Is it this summer? Or I'm
It's
not
it's
entirely
in the
sure.
summer. Yeah, I think it's later. Yeah, I think it's like I think it's in June, July or something like that. So it's definitely going to be one of those big summer releases.
Well, they should still have enough time to announce something, hopefully sometime soon.
I sincerely hope so. Now, what's your number one? I got to see this.
My number one, this is a weird choice because it is very recently, and I just did get the Blu-ray. It's probably not one that you're thinking of, but I'm talking 1998 Small Soldiers because I really want to see how the CGI like incorporates itself to 4K. I don't know if it's going to age the best. It probably won't because it's a 25, 26-year old film with CGI in it, but I don't know. It's a childhood classic for me. It's one that I grew up with and that I love, and I just watched it a few weeks ago. I still highly enjoy it, and it's a Joe Dante film. You can never go wrong with Joe Dante. One of
Yeah.
my favorite filmmakers in horror. And he does great with like family films with Gremlins, even though it has like
Gremlins.
a dark edge to it. But either way,
Oh
Small
yeah.
Soldiers. See, I have Archer right here.
Oh
That's how
yeah, I
much I
see him in
love
the
this
back.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. I
just
love this
noticed them.
movie.
Yeah. It's a great
Wow.
movie. Yeah,
Yes.
that's one of those movies where you kind of had to be there when it came out. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when it came out. I think I actually saw that in theaters when it came out. If
Lucky.
my memory serves me correctly, I think I saw it in theaters, and people walked out on the
Oh
movie.
wow.
And I think it was because there were a lot of little kids in the theater. Now, I was young when it came out. When did it come out? Like 98?
Yeah, year before I was born.
Yeah, 98. So
Yeah.
I was 8 years old seeing this movie, and there were younger kids in there, younger than me. And I think parents were like really like they were taken aback by just how it's not an
Mm-hmm.
extremely violent movie,
No.
but there are some moments in it where I saw parents like grab the kid and go like walk him out, like walk him out of the theater. And I'm in there with my mom, and she goes, "It's all right, you're good. You've seen worse than this,
Yes.
So but but yeah, it's a really entertaining film. I
Mm-hmm.
think that one definitely would benefit from 4K, especially because of the sound effects.
Oh
The
yes.
sound design of that movie is really, really underrated. And what is it? Tim Allen?
Tim,
Tim Allen? Is it Tim Allen does the voice
Tommy.
of
Oh, Tom. You talking about Tommy Lee Jones?
Tommy Lee Jones?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm thinking of I got the wrong guy, but yeah, no, Tommy Lee Jones. Again, just doing his thing with that gruff, the
Mm-hmm.
gruff voice that he does in that. It's a really well made movie. I have not seen that in forever. I have that. It's why I'm thinking the T. I'm thinking Tim
Yeah.
Allen, but that's a different movie. That's a very different movie with toys. But no,
Hmm.
I've always enjoyed that movie, but I have to revisit that now. So if anything, you reminded me
Hmm.
to rewatch that because that is a really really good movie.
Well, they did
That
come
went
out with the Blu-ray like a year or two ago, so I don't know why
okay.
they. Yeah, it's a very
All
recent
right.
Blu-ray.
Well, I'm gonna have to check that out. So there's our top five. Again, we had some really interesting picks there. I like
Hmm.
yours. You had some real good
Thank
ones in there. Yeah, Toy Soldiers, man. That's wow. You brought me back with that one. I got
you. Hmm.
nostalgia on that one. I was like, my God, I haven't thought of that movie in like 20 years.
I
So
love
that
that
was
film,
great.
man.
It's a great movie. So anyway, that's it for today for Kavanaugh's Corner. Again, please check out Esley's channel. I'm going to link it in the description below. All the movies that we mentioned here, they're all available on Amazon. I'm going to leave some links in the description. So if you guys want to pick up their current releases, in case they don't get a 4K release this year, let's hope they do, though. Let's hope they do.
Oh
But if you
yes.
want to pick them up, you can use the links in my description below. But here's the cool thing. So if you go to Esley's channel, okay, you're going to see another video that we're going to do where we talk about our top five most anticipated movies of this year. So these are going to be movies that have been announced that we're really excited for. But you got to go to Esley's channel to check it out. So go there now, go watch it. Hopefully it'll be up by the time this goes up. But if it isn't, go there anyway and subscribe to his channel. As always, I just want to say thank you so much for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. We love you. Again, stay safe and take it easy.